If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
Yo, everybody.
Yo.
In this episode of the Mind Pump, look, for the first 30 minutes or so of this episode, we have fun time conversation. After that, we get into the fitness stuff. Mm-hmm. But here's what we talked about in that first part of this show. First, we started by talking about the future. Future music.
Yes,
awesome.
I don't know, dude.
So good.
Then
Thanks.
We did a little recap of our event here in San Jose, meeting our fans, doing a live Q&A. It was freaking awesome. And what was great is we saw several of our fans, like 5 people, walk up to us, and they were wearing Vuori clothing, which was kind of cool.
Our Vuori posse.
Yeah. Now, Vuori is one of our sponsors. They make the best activewear you'll find anywhere on planet Earth. If you go to Vuori Clothing, VUORI, clothing.com/mindpump, and use the code that's listed on the page, you'll get 25% off. Also, by the way, we're going to be doing another live event May 10th at 6 p.m. in Encinitas, California. This is a Vuori-sponsored event. You won't want to miss it.
Yeah.
I don't know how many seats are left. I think there's only a dozen left. Here's what you got to do. Go to mindpumplive.com and get yourself a spot.
It's for cool kids only.
Then we give a little Easter recap. We all had a great Easter. Easter Bunny was nice to us and our children. And Justin was very healthy with his kids.
Yeah.
He gave them skinny dipped almonds as treats. This is a great treat for people to enjoy healthy macros.
Little trick of the trade there, huh?
That's it. If you go to skinnydipped.com/mindpump and enter the code mindpump, you'll get 20% off, your skinny dipped order. Then we talked about Elizabeth Warren's new Unicorn Magic plan for she's trying to run for government.
Sounds fantastical.
Apparently, she's promising everything. San Francisco's IPOs and real estate. There's going to be a lot of IPOs going on, a lot of millionaires being made overnight soon. We talk about how Yahoo got sued for $5 million. We talk about Game Boy. Remember that thing back in the day? And then we talked about the San Jose Sharks. I think they do lacrosse. Is that lacrosse?
I mean, very close.
Sports ball?
On ice.
One of those things. Then we get into the fitness part of this episode. The first fitness question was, how do you rebound after a day of eating like crap? What's the best strategy? Next question, if your life makes it really, really hard to get adequate sleep, should you lower the training intensity of your workouts? Next question, what is the question that annoys us the most that people ask us all the time? We are very patient people, but sometimes we do get annoyed. And the final question, that's the annoyed sound?
Yeah.
And the final question, what's the most important piece of advice we would give someone who's about to open up their own gym?
Don't do it.
Also, guess what?
What?
We got a new MAPS program, baby.
Ha!
Brand new MAPS program launched right now. It's live.
The biggest, it's the baddest ever.
Now, this program is for advanced hardcore lifters. If you love working out, if you want to see what your potential is really at, like if you want to squeeze out every little ounce of results out of your body.
The Mount Everest of our programs, everybody.
And you've already followed MAPS Aesthetic. You followed MAPS Split. You can handle a lot of volume and a lot of frequency. Do this program. It's called MAPS PED. PED stands for Performance Enhancing Design. Don't get excited. Design. This program is a classic double split routine. You're working out a lot in the gym. You are sculpting and shaping your body like a maniac.
You're getting after it.
If you're one of those crazy fitness fanatics who has great recovery ability and you are advanced, try this program out and see what it can do for you. Now, the launch is right now, which means it's on sale. It's $60 off. Here's what you do if you want this program. Go to mapsped.com. Use the code PED60 for the discount. You got to do this soon because this promotion will end Sunday the 28th. So Sunday the 28th, the promotion's over. Again, MAPS PED. Use the code PED60 for this brand new MAPS program for advanced lifters only. Go check it out.
T-shirt time!
And it's T-shirt time.
Oh, shit. Doug, you know this is my favorite time of the week.
Oh, yes, it is, Adam.
Yes.
That was like a little simple jack.
We had a lot of reviews, so we have a lot of winners to read off here. For iTunes, we have Matt Burton, 55, Forza Fitness, Becca, 8, 45 Cal Gal. For Facebook, Sean Poliquin, Jennifer Bell, Austin Swift, Brandon Abug, Jason Cochran, Brandon
Aboog.
Brandon Mellinson, and Marty Muroka. All of you are winners. Send the name I just read to iTunes at mindpumpmedia.com. Send your shirt size, your shipping address, and we'll get that right out to you.
Get some easier names. Fuck.
Jeez.
Do you guys remember that TV show on, I don't remember what channel it was on, but we were kids, and it was called...
When we were kids, there was only UHF, VHF, Channel 2, Channel 6, Channel 10, Channel...
You didn't have
12.
cable?
No, with cable back
You had
then.
rabbit
We were
ears.
little kids. Yeah, that was
They had cable when we were kids.
when we were little kids. Cable came, when did Comcast come around,
I don't even know.
bro? That was not until later. When we were really young.
Cable was out, bro. I don't know. How old are you? You're talking about one?
Yeah, I'm talking really young.
No. Cable was out afterwards. We were in our we were like 10, maybe even before that. Remember? Okay, so MTV came out in
81.
1983 or 82?
81.
Is it 81?
Yeah, MTV.
Well, yeah, because the 70s, I remember they had all those. Like,
What do you mean you remember?
I mean, I remember that they had shows back then. Not that I actually saw them like real time.
MTV launched.
I was a sperm.
I mean,
MTV
I was
launched
there.
August 1st, 1981.
Okay, so when they came out, one of the big pushes was to get your cable company to have MTV, because MTV was not available through the what is it called,
Basic antenna.
broadcast or whatever.
Yeah, basic antenna stuff.
It was only, and so remember how they came out with that I want my MTV, that came out because
Yeah.
of that. I want my MTV. Anyway, I don't remember where I was
Do
going
you know who
with
sung that song?
that. For
Trivia.
Dire
Ah,
Straits.
come on. I knew you were
I
going to get it.
love that video.
Not bad.
That was a great video.
Yeah.
So anyway, what I was gonna say? Oh yeah, there was a TV show called Beyond 2000. Do you guys remember the show?
No.
Oh, it was all about the future, and it was all about what it would be like beyond the year 2000.
2000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So then when we got older and we actually saw the year 2000, I was like, they lied.
Yeah, they didn't know anything.
Nothing.
It wasn't accurate at all?
No, it was all like way out there shit. Like they were doing like Beyond 20,000 is what they should have called the show.
I
You know
was
what I'm saying?
expecting to have a little pellet thing that you put in some crazy microwave, and then all of a sudden you have a big turkey dinner, right?
Yeah,
that was like the big thing on the Jetsons
Yeah.
and Back to the Future. And
I
everything.
think Back to the Future did a pretty good job.
they got some of it.
Really?
We're not flying cars. We don't have any like inflatable outfits.
The one thing they had
yeah,
right
but
was
we're-
the TV, that phone, where the guy's talking on the
The TV phone, the screen being able to pop up on like
Remember that advertisement of the shark that was like a hologram that came
Yeah.
and tried to eat you?
Yeah.
They actually have that now.
stuff like that. I mean,
cool.
we are doing we don't see the hoverboards like kids skateboarding around on them, but I mean the invention of hoverboards and we're trying to get these flying taxis. Like I don't know, those Nike shoes came out. Those were like released and massive.
Do you know what I was reading about
Oh, yeah,
on the internet?
fashion-wise, they did it.
Speaking of which,
I think they did a pretty good job.
you know what I was reading about? Speaking of the future, because you know these self-driving and these kind of autonomous transportation vehicles. That's like going to be a massive thing in the future, right? So there's this company that's creating these helicopters that are autonomous that they're going to use for passengers. So you'll get in this little helicopter and it'll
That's
drive
not
you.
scary.
But here's the problem. The problem is testing them. You have to have clearance from the who covers the air, FAA. So you know what they did? They bought a mine, so that because a mine is like
So
dug
they're
down.
flying them underground?
So not underground. They're the below ground level, so they don't have to get regulated by the FAA. So you could go there and see them test them and stuff in this like underground, not underground, but dug.
I
in.
get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Dug out, yeah.
So
Brilliant.
that is brilliant.
Brilliant.
Who's doing that? What company? Do you
I
know?
don't remember. I don't remember at all.
What do you guys think of the event this weekend?
That was great. I
time.
love these live events that we do when we meet people.
They
Yeah.
are fun.
They're really, really fun. And the big thing about it is because now we don't really train people too much. I mean, I do a little bit of online coaching. I know you guys, once in a while train people, but it's not the same, right?
Yeah.
when we meet people, I feel like it keeps us grounded and it reminds us what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't see people. Like
Well,
that.
and it's always feedback too that I guess you don't really consider as much. Like we think that all the value is from like very specific things on the show, and they're always presenting like little anecdotes or things that we've brought to the show that impact them even more, and that's always surprising to me and cool to listen to people's stories of how they found us and all that kind of stuff.
No, it was. I love them so much. I love meeting these people, hearing their stories. A lot of people. You know what else is kind of cool? I met quite a few people where the girlfriend got the boyfriend to listen, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, oh, I got my boyfriend, and then there was one young lady who came up and said that she took this personal training course, this very extensive personal training course, and her instructor was constantly referencing Mind Pump.
Wow,
which is so rad to have a professor using our show.
I've actually heard that a few times now. That's cool. That's really cool.
I mean, I'm all for it, but yeah, we're not like super academic friendly.
No.
I would love to sit in on that class and have them start like throwing out references from the show.
Yeah. Probably a cool fucking teacher.
Yeah, right. It'd be awesome.
Yeah,
just don't get anything wrong.
I wouldn't fall asleep in that class. He's got that going for him.
Did you see that there was a handful of people, at least a handful of people that were wearing Justin's uniform?
Oh yeah,
dude.
His Vuori chinos.
Yeah, they were like wearing flannels and then also the chino pants. One of the guys came up and was like had to show me. He's like, dude, I love these pants. Dude, thanks for recommending these. And I'm like, it was so great. We had like a 10-minute conversation about chino pants.
Yeah, one guy came up to me and he had a Vuori, like what I'm wearing right now. What is this, like a hoodie jacket or whatever?
Zip up hoodie.
Yeah, and he's like, dude, we got the same hoodies, and I was like, we're buddies now.
Yeah,
we hugged. It was really cool.
It's life changing. I could do exercise in these things.
All kinds of activities.
Well, I'm learning about like Vuori and like the way it's funny because every week I get to meet with Rachel and she kind of reports back on how sponsorships are doing and our relationship with all of our partners. And Vuori of all of our sponsors have been like the one that's been like this consistent like climb. Like most sponsorships, we tend to like come out, a lot of people get it, and then it just kind of stays kind of flatlining consistent. Vuori has been like this consistent ramping up, and I think that's because like at first I think because it's it's not cheap activewear. It's not like you can get a lot of stuff for a lot cheaper, but once people buy it and then they wear it, then they realize how dope it is, which reminds me of like when Lulu first came on the scene. When you first saw people were like, this is ridiculous, $100 for stretchy pants or yoga pants, I'll never pay that. And then you put them on, you're like, oh, fuck.
Well, then and you look around, you wear the other competitor's version of it, and you're just like, it's just garbage. You know? It's like, no wonder. It's like, it's the quality.
Oh, I hate sweats now.
Yeah.
I hate my old sweats. I got like 4 pairs of old sweats I threw away because I put them on. I'm like, what?
Yeah, if you wear those.
This feels like garbage.
Yeah. So, I love the event.
I feel homeless.
I thought the event was awesome. I thought it was a great time. I mean, it's nice to do something in our hometown. We rarely ever do our hometown, so it was cool to do something here.
Someone gave us weed. Someone in the audience, because it was 420, right?
Yeah.
So it was, which is like
it was like a little stocking with like weed leaves on it.
Yeah, it's a national weed holiday, and which, by the way, before the event, I went to the dispensary because I'm like, oh, this would be cool if I get like some real mild edibles for the fellas.
Yeah,
and I go over to the dispensary I like to go over here in San Jose, Airfield Supply. And they open at 9 a.m. So I'm like, I'll get there at like 8:50. I'll be the first person. Like nobody, like stoners don't wake up early.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
That never happens.
Bullshit. Lying around the block.
Well, they do on
9 a.m.
Bro, they do on their national holiday.
Yeah.
So,
they got a lot of plans that day. That's the only day out of the year they got like plans.
Yeah. Dude, like there's a whole kinds of stereotypes against stoners. Like they're lazy. No, those motherfuckers woke up hella early. Yeah. And they're
Was there a bunch of Fritos just being passed, in the crowd?
Oh, I told the whole crowd that too as I walked up. I'm like, you fucking stoners wake up early, don't you, when you want to? And everybody started cracking up. Yeah. It's hilarious. And the ingenuity of stoners also. Like you give them, we don't have anything to smoke this weed out of. Don't worry, I'll figure it out.
I got an apple.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let's
Next
do
thing
this.
you know, give me your sneaker.
Yeah. All right.
And they got there anyway.
Well, we're running back another
MacGyver.
We're not even 2 weeks away, or a little over 2 weeks, 3 weeks away from the next event already. So
May 10th.
Yeah, we head down to Southern California now. So Encinita, where we're heading down
Encinitas.
At the Vuori.
Have you guys? So you guys remember Encinitas last time? Great town.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Great little town. By the way, if you want to sign up for that, it's the 10th It's May 10th at 6 p.m. You got to go to mindpumplive.com. I want to make sure I say that.
Yeah, and I believe they always throw some kind of discount there on the clothes as you know, we go down and do those events. So.
But great town. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I actually ran a gym in Encinitas for 1 month. Did you guys know this?
I didn't
Really?
know that.
Yeah. So
For 1 month?
1 month?
So when I worked for 24 Hour Fitness, there's 2 stints that I did at 24 Hour. So the first time I worked there, that's when I was real young. Then I left.
Just stinting.
Yeah, and then I left and I had a gym, a partnership down in the Palm Desert area, Palm Springs, Palm Desert area. Then I decided I wanted to go back to working for 24 Hour Fitness, and the divisional president and the VP of Southern California, because I was already down there, they said, "Hey, we're grand opening this club." I forgot where it was. It was a brand new location that was grand opening, and they said it's not ready, but we want you to grand open this club, and we'll put you in the meantime. We'll just put you in a gym, so that you can wait for this club to open. Then you're going to get this big club. And so the club that they put me in was Encinitas. So it was a tiny little 24-hour fitness. It's probably still there. Tiny little location, great town, beach town, awesome little place. It's a small club though. So I ran that for a month. But then the divisional president up in Northern California, my family's up there, and they were like, "Hey, we heard you coming back. We'll have you re-grand open Hillsdale or whatever." And so that's why I came back to NorCal. But yeah, I ran a little club in Encinitas for a little while, and I love that town. I fell in love with the people, and it's a nice little surfer, kind of cool little town.
I didn't realize you did that before you came out to NorCal.
Yeah, it's a great.
What did you guys do for Easter with your kids? Do you guys do Easter baskets and hunt eggs? Like what's the get down for your family?
Yeah, my kids actually, because we were doing the event, went with my parents to have an Easter egg hunt and all that with my brother and his kids, and then we did that again on Sunday. And so Courtney and I do this whole thing where I went a little creative and was drawing all these pictures of Easter bunnies, eggs, all that stuff, and made a card for them from the Easter bunny. And then we riddled the house with all these different eggs, and then the skinny dip almonds actually we put in there, and then M&Ms and things like that.
Oh, skinny dipped almonds. That's a great idea for the kids.
Yeah, well, it's you got them anyway.
So you did the plastic eggs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then
the plastic is you put those in there.
No, a real chicken egg.
Yeah. Actually, we should have thrown some of those in the mix, just to throw them off. Yeah.
What the hell?
Hey. Yeah.
Eat it.
Smashes.
Do you guys, so the Easter bunny brings presents in the morning?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's just the house is riddled with, the eggs and candy and all this random plastic toy stuff that, we find for them to find.
Do you guys do an actual basket where you put candy and stuff in for the kids, or?
No, I just put it all over the house so they have to go find it all. Yeah, that's the move.
Yeah, I do. So I didn't have my kids this Easter. This Easter they were with their mom. But yeah, normally we do the whole Easter basket thing. But we went up to Roseville to my aunt's house with my whole family over there, and there were a few kids there, so they did the whole Easter. I still get Easter baskets from my godparents. So I don't know how you guys.
You do?
Yeah, I do. Yes. Every year, my godparents give me an Easter basket, and there's candy in there.
I just want to see your eyes again, just pure joy.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny.
You hate it.
So when I was younger, I really loved gummy. They're called Peachy O's. And they're these little circular.
My brother loved those.
Gummy candies with sprinkled sugar on them. You know what I'm talking about?
They're kind of sour but sweet.
Yeah. And so every Easter, my godparents give me Peachy O's with a chocolate bunny and then a book or something. My godfather is he's the herbalist that I talk about sometimes. So he does Chinese medicine, and he's super into that esoteric stuff.
Yeah.
So inevitably I'll get some kind of book that's about the balancing your chi or something like that. And he's always read this, we'll talk
I thought
about
for sure you guys would have been all over the skinny dipped almonds thing. I thought for sure that would be a staple thing in everybody's.
No,
Easter.
I think
if you
that's
get those
brilliant.
little if you get the small packs, it's cool because you get all the different variety of colors.
Yeah.
So you kind of just
that's why I thought
alternate
for sure.
it.
I thought for
the
sure
colors.
that would have been something you guys would have done.
No, that's my go-to treat though for the kids because it's almonds.
That was a last minute thought.
Yeah.
It's just
Did you see
these two?
Did you see how Rachel got April Fool's? She thought that almost
the mini almonds were real.
Yeah, they did these. For Skinny Dip did a post on April Fool's, these super tiny like almonds. And she was like, she was
It
going
looked like
over
little rat pellets.
Yeah, she was going over sponsorship stuff with me, and she's like, "Oh, the next skinny dip commercial, you guys can talk about these little tiny."
Yeah, they grow these little mini nuts on these mini trees.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if that's real.
Is that true?
And she's like, "Oh shit, they posted this on April Fools."
Should have played along and be like, well, they pick them before they're mature. That's why they're so small.
Well, I wasn't sure.
They
I
get
was like,
leprechauns to
because
gather
it
them.
wasn't like it was April 1st when she was showing me. She was just showing me this the other day. So I was like, I didn't know. I was like, well, that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen mini almonds like that.
Yeah. Do you guys have you guys been eating all the new one? What is it? The chocolate mint?
Oh,
That's my
dude.
favorite.
Is that your favorite? Still?
Yeah,
I still like the
thankfully, Courtney
raspberry
doesn't
one.
like that. Yeah,
No,
her favorite's
dude.
the espresso one. Mine's definitely the mint.
The what? Which one? The espresso or espresso?
Did I say espresso?
Espresso.
I'm gonna keep saying it because Adam owns library. I'm gonna own espresso.
Yeah, that's it right there. Oh, you know what I did do?
espresso.
I went to church Easter morning. Did you guys do that at all?
No.
I was a heathen this year.
Yeah.
This is the first year, and probably I think my mom's mad.
I
at me.
usually do.
I didn't hear from my mom at all, so I think she's mad at me because this is the first Easter Sunday that I wasn't in church with my mom.
Did you get to do the "He is risen"? He is risen indeed.
Yeah,
That's like my favorite part.
No, you know what? So I went to this church, and because I've been dabbling, right? Been going, on and off or whatever.
Yeah.
And the sermon or whatever, I don't know, what do you call it when the guy up there is talking? Is that a sermon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sermon.
So he's talking, and he talked about he was talking about addiction, and he said something that I thought was brilliant. He said that
I saw you put that on your Insta story.
Yeah, he said that addiction comes from a spiritual deficiency. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. And the way they talk about it, because this, by the way, this is not just a Christian thing, because the Christians talk about this in the Beatitudes. What do they call it? The blessed are the poor in spirit and the meek, and that's all about detachment. Like, it's not that they value people who are poor and that if you're rich you're bad. It's that people who are not attached and worship material things, that's what makes you blessed. Or people who suffer. It's not that it's good to suffer. It's that you're not attached to good feelings and that you worship good feelings all the time. And other spiritual practices talk about detachment all the time. And what he said is how when people feel a void in their spiritual selves, that they try to fill it with material things. And what ends up happening, it's like drinking salt water. It's like you're thirsty, and then you drink salt water, which only makes you more thirsty. Right. And so you want more and more and more and more, and it creates this addictive kind of cycle. So when I got home, I was like, wow, that's really interesting. I was thinking a lot about this. And I started looking up research on protocols. And I did not know this. I had no idea. And I'm sure you guys know, but, AA or whatever, that's got a very strong spiritual component. Do you guys know that? I had no idea.
Yeah, like the 12 steps.
I had no idea that was a big part of it. Yeah. And so when I did that post on my story, I actually put that quote and I said, do you think addiction is a spiritual deficiency? I had a bunch of people who had gone through AA and said, oh yeah, they said, when I filled that part, that's really what helped me get off alcohol.
I also think this is part of what actually this is something I don't like about religion too, though, is what ends up happening is it tends to attract a lot of people who have addiction in their life, and they go from being radical on one side to radical on the opposite side because they were saved. And I feel that there's more of a happy medium there. And so, but the average person gets these extreme people, these people that were addicted to these things, and then they get quote unquote saved. And then they're on the other side of it, but then they pour everything into the religion and become very dogmatic about it.
I could see that,
and that's I would say and in my experience, right? So I'm being very general right now, and I'm probably offending a ton of people. But in my experience of all the churches and stuff that I was a part of as a kid, this is kind of what I felt. I mean, I felt like there was a very small percentage of people that I thought were very level-headed, that came from really good backgrounds. And then the most radical and the most religious or most dogmatic people had these crazy backgrounds of addiction or something that they battle with. They found religion. It saved them from all of that.
Then that became everything.
And then that became everything for them. And then became almost like their new addiction.
What did Paul Check call like spiritual righteousness? Did they start doing that where it's like, I'm right, you're wrong, everyone's dead.
Right. You become this, you start to evangelize so hard that it's like you're at the other extreme. And I think it really gives religion a bad rap. I think that's when I think of like some of my friends that are atheist or completely like anti-church or anything spiritual at all, they connect it to those types of people that are the Bible thumping type of
thumpers.
Right.
You know what it reminds me of?
It's unfortunate.
It reminds me of like the guy who gets into lifting weights and then starts getting super fanatical and dogmatic about it, and then needs to wear the gear that says like bodybuilding.com, the skinny, straps on the shirt and the lifting shoes, or the guy who just starts jujitsu.
Yeah, you want everybody to know your team.
Yeah, but they identify so strongly with it that they kind of shut everybody out type of deal. And I feel that can happen with all
Well,
the
that's
things.
another good example. Like, yeah, absolutely. I think there's people that fall into fitness or exercise and it saves their life. It changes them from obesity, or
It becomes their religion.
and then it becomes the religion, right? Where they're going around and pushing everybody on it. So yeah, you see that a lot. I think it's unfortunate because I think there's tons of great value from both those things we're talking about, both exercise and fitness, and then both also spirituality. Or
I just thought it was really interesting because then it brought me down this rabbit hole of looking at different spiritual practices. And it's funny when you look at the major ones, there's a lot of similarities in their wisdom, a lot of similarities. And one constant is detachment from material things, not shunning material things, not saying it's bad, but not worshiping material things. And it's almost like the worshiping of material things is part of that addictive cycle where you are addicted to pleasure, or addicted to power or money or honor or whatever.
The hard part of that is really in defining what worship is, right, or what that looks like, because you that could be a whole host of things. Like when you say the word like worship, I think people think right away like, oh, like I don't worship my car, I don't worship my things.
I think it just becomes your priority. That's your worship. It's like the top of your hierarchy,
right?
Like the most important thing to me is being successful, so that's what I'm going to worship. Or the most important thing to me is my honor or power. You have a lot of power-hungry people who just, politicians, for example, they'll do anything just to be, they'll say anything just to get elected because they want that power. In fact, that brings me to the next wonderful subject. Did you guys see Elizabeth Warren's new plan that she's putting out?
No.
To try and get elected?
No. Please tell
Boy,
me.
they are scrambling. So her new plan is she's going to erase student loan debt.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know if she was magic.
Like
wow.
Yeah.
like forgive it, like
Looks
they
like
do
that,
with some
like-
of the people with the home loans and stuff.
Dude,
Is that what
Ali
they-
Kazam.
There is no such thing, by the way, as erasing debt. Somebody's got to pay
Somebody's
for
going
it.
to pay for that, and it's not going to be the people whose debt it is.
And if you did try to erase it, and let's say you did do that, like we're not doing anything, but you don't have to pay it back, economic calamity. But the reason why they're doing this is because they're scrambling, because I think they're looking at the current state of affairs, and they're like, how the hell are we going to get elected? The economy is doing really well. This is we need to be promising a lot of free shit.
Yeah.
And so her plan is they're trying to
scary-
get that young
The
vote.
scary part, it's going to attract a lot of young kids.
Exactly.
A lot of young people that came out of college with
Oh,
90
hell yeah. I don't want to pay for mine. Dude,
Right.
awesome.
It's probably a pretty smart strategy for somebody who's trying to
$1 trillion in student debt. You can't erase that. If you did, you would cause a massive economic calamity.
What was with the housing crisis? What we were at? What was the debt added up to with the housing crisis?
I don't remember.
You don't know what the loans were?
No.
I think it was up there with that.
Yeah.
I think it's up there with that.
But what did they do with the home loan stuff?
Forgave
we
a
all
bunch.
paid. Well, no, I didn't forgave it. We all paid for it. It came out of something.
Well, yeah. I mean, but they're trying to set up the same process, right? They'll go to
And it arguably
bailed
made
the
things
banks
worse.
out.
Yeah, that's right. That's who ends up getting bailed
That's who, had nothing, like no repercussions, was the banks.
Right. So what'll probably happen behind the scenes is these places that gave out these loans are going to get money from the government to forgive
Yeah.
these students.
Not the taxpayers. We just pay more money.
Yeah, and that's the thing, taxpayer. And what's going to do is going to raise the cost.
Yeah.
It'll just raise the cost of college, because if you know you can buy something, get a loan for it, and not have to pay that loan, what do you think everybody's going to do? Right. Imagine if you could do that with car loans. Let's just talk about something else for example. Imagine if you could get a car loan and then get it forgiven, quote unquote. Yeah. Would anybody buy a freaking
It's like when you're
Honda?
a kid and you write an IOU, on there, like, and you put that piece of paper in place of it of real money.
Well, I got something crazy. Since we're talking about economics and real estate, I got something cool for you guys. You know that we are about to see the most and the biggest IPOs from a single area ever launched at one time. So San Francisco is going to have been hit these first 2 quarters. They're going to see Lyft, Pinterest, Airbnb, Instacart, Postmates, Uber, and Slack all hitting IPOs.
Wow.
All at once?
Now check this out. So
that's going to be a big day.
They say 51% of homes in San Francisco are owned by successful tech employees. Mm-hmm. The biggest tech boom at once in San Francisco history is about to happen. They predict 5,000 new homes to be bought in San Francisco, and over 1,000 of those being $3 million+ homes.
Oh my God.
Isn't that crazy?
Do you know how many millionaires those IPOs are going to create overnight?
That's what I'm houses left. I swear. I think everything up there. I
think Uber alone, their IPO alone, is going to create something like 5,000 millionaires, or something like that, right away.
Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah.
My cousin was actually talking to me about. So I have half my family does is investments, and he was explaining this to me. So I mean, maybe it's a good idea to buy real estate right now to prep, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can get in quick, this is all going to happen. This is like here. It's like this is happening in the next few days. Some of these are dropping and happening over the next couple of months.
They got to figure something
Throw some
out.
Cash out there.
Yeah, because it's impossible to live in the Bay Area as it is.
I know. Yeah, like it could get any more expensive to live up in San Francisco. Can you imagine now? Like, oh man,
it's about
what it would be to rent even a place up there. Like, it's probably
my cousin just got an apartment. 700 square foot 2-bedroom apartment in San Francisco.
700 feet.
700 square feet.
That's nothing.
2-bedroom. Yeah, it's nothing, bro. That's not even. I mean, it's a tiny little place.
Yeah.
$4,000. $4,000 a month. Yeah, and that's a good deal.
Just to be there.
And he got a good deal.
It's like a bedroom.
Yeah, he got a good deal.
Silly, dude.
You know what I'm saying? That's going to be crazier.
Yahoo gets sued for $5 million. Check this out. So you guys know
I didn't even know Yahoo existed still.
Really?
No. Who goes on there?
No, Yahoo News. They're still they're not like a fucking crazy force, but they're still a bajillion-dollar company.
Yeah.
The original the Yahoo, the yodeler. So check this out. When they were a startup is when they had that done. They found this kid or this guy that was a yodeler, right? And they paid him $560 for that yodel. And the deal was like they were using it for like I forget what it was. It was like they were launching something and they wanted this Yahoo yodel and they paid him his $560 for that. Well, they go on to use that yodel on the easy button. They use it for that. They use it. It was so years go by. He hears his yodel on a Super Bowl commercial for Yahoo. And that triggers him to be like, what the fuck? And starts doing his research on it. And they've been using it for all these things. Goes back and he's suing them for $5 million.
How can he sue them? I'm sure they bought they bought it, right? Didn't they pay him for it?
They did pay him for it. But what he's claiming is that it was for this one project and they went on to
kept using it.
And they kept using it for all these other things and monetize.
You guys became successful, therefore
it's all because of my yodel.
Yeah, therefore, pay me $5 million.
I know. You know, when I hear stuff like that, right? So I'm curious to where you guys like stand because I do too. I think that,
bro, you just literally yodeled something,
right?
How valuable is that? Give me a break.
I agree. So I tend to lean towards defending the company here. Like, that's especially silly. Being a startup company ourselves. And if like we did something,
they could have paid anybody to do that, and they paid them to do that.
Right.
Right. You're just salty because it's all over the place.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
100%.
Right.
Unless it was specifically in the agreement that it said, we will never. You can only use it for this one. I guarantee you, he's like, "Fuck yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
I'll do this $500, no problem." Yeah, and he does his thing. Full of shit.
Yeah.
You know what? You know why he thinks why he's doing this? I guarantee it's because $5 million is nothing for Yahoo. It'll look bad if Yahoo doesn't settle. They won't pay him $5.
So they settled.
See,
they settled for a few million. It's undisclosed. He had to sign a non-disclosure, so we don't know the exact amount. Wow. But from the response, it's
because the negative press alone would have hurt them.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So he did. He didn't get his full.
He needed new clogs. Really bad.
Yeah. He didn't get his full $5 million, but he definitely got hooked up big time. He made
my God.
he made in the millions for it for doing that. Probably what his strategy was too. You're probably exactly right, Sal, is that he really didn't probably have much leg to stand on, but because it was a compelling enough story, they didn't want
Everybody
the bad
would have
news.
felt bad for him, and it would have been bad publicity.
Right, so they're like, "Fuck it, give him 1.5 or 2 million. Tell him to get the fuck out of here with this yodeler."
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
That's so was it Facebook or Google? I think it might have been Facebook. One of those two. This one dude painted one of their murals when they were a startup. Was
yes.
it Facebook?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
He painted one of their murals, and they didn't really have any money to pay him, so they said, "We'll give you shares if you want, or we'll pay you like $1,000." Or they were going to offer him to like $1,000 or $2,000.
He's like a gajillionaire now.
Yeah, and and he was smart enough to be like, you know what? Just give me the shares. It's all good. Gadoo. He made like like $15 million.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
just
What
from
an
the
awesome.
shares
Now
they
that's an
got.
awesome
That's
story.
a great trade.
Yeah.
That is a great trade.
Because they were offering him, I think it was a decent amount of money too. I think it was like $5,000 or something like that for this mural or something like that, where he could have been like, oh, cool, I'll
You know
take
what's
the cash.
funny about that story though? That's what drives all these startup companies to get all this like crazy labor, this promise that their equity's gonna be worth a shit, and it never amounts to it. That was like the one case.
Yeah.
Your Facebook, like that was a good idea. It wasn't
Right.
just free work.
Yeah.
That's really common. I hear over here.
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like you're a startup company. You need to be lean as you possibly can run, and so you try and make people happy.
Well, dude, I mean, look what's happening with all these IPOs. Like when that happens, it's going to be big news. They're going to say, the newspapers will say something like, I say newspapers, they don't exist anymore, but the news,
I want to hear somebody in the back just ruffling,
yeah,
just
the smoke signals.
like that ever
Yeah,
happens. Yeah.
this Paul Revere on the horse. Everybody listen to the news. No, it's going to come out and it's going to say,
Delivering your milk.
it'll say something like overnight 15,000 new millionaires in San Francisco or something like that. And everyone's going to be like, fuck, that's the way to do it. But the odds are very low that you work for a company. And also, they typically grind. Like working for a startup is not
It's
9 to 5.
It's not glorious.
No, I have a buddy who's worked for a startup, and because of the promise of the IPO, dude was working, no joke, like 15 hours a day every day.
Yeah.
Doing
There's
stupid
no
shit. too.
weekends.
No,
Yeah.
dude.
You just work.
Crazy stuff.
I got a random fact for you guys. 30 years ago today, Game Boy.
Yeah.
Wow, I feel
love
old.
Game Boy.
30 years ago today. Was
Did you guys have a Game Boy?
Yeah.
You both had a Game Boy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I had two. I actually ended up giving one when I used to live at this apartment. Or I was actually a house that I shared with this other guy, and his kid would come every now and then. And I actually gave him like my Game Boy and all my games, and then I was like, "Oh, it's a mistake."
Name the price and the game that came with it.
$199.
Tetris?
Mario Land.
Tetris is right. Way over, bro. It was not that
Really?
expensive.
What was the price back then?
$89.99.
89.
Which was expensive.
That was expensive.
That's expensive
That's
back
why
then.
I was thinking.
Yeah, it's not
it
cheap
was-
now.
It
It's
felt
No.
expensive.
What is that for inflation? What would that be for inflation?
Oh, dude.
10 grand. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, 30 years ago?
yeah.
Nine.
What is it? What is it? 2% is the average? Is that what?
I don't know.
Is that the average rate of inflation, like 2.8% or something like that?
Maybe
Doug?
Doug can figure out on Google.
Doug's normally my go-to guy when I don't know a number.
Yeah.
I'm
I love
I'm
Tetris
guessing
on there, though.
inflation's.
How did you have an $89 Game Boy? I thought you were poor. You had a horse.
Grandma.
You had a Game Boy. You had a fucking motorcycle.
And yeah, you're buying food with food
No,
stamps.
easy. I did not have a motorcycle.
I thought you had some just
no.
a horse and a Game
No,
Boy.
and I did. I did not.
He's playing his Game Boy, but there's no electricity in the house, and he's freezing.
Right. You're so making my mom's case right now. See, I told you guys weren't poor. Like, no. So my mom had.
I'm hungry, Mom.
My mom,
Eat your Game Boy.
Go feed the horse, and then I'll feed you.
My mom had a horse, and my sister had a horse. And you know what? Let me tell you.
Oh my God, you had 2 horses?
Yeah, they had 2 horses.
That's fucking expensive.
And I remember when they bought it. You know when they bought it? Fucking tax return. Tax return came in, and it all went to fucking 2 horses, right? And then like later on, we're like, oh shit, you got to feed these things every single month, right? Game Boy was a present from my grandma. My grandma always spoiled me. That was something that so my grandma used to send a box of clothes that I would get every 3 months, and and Christmas and birthdays, my grandma took care of me for sure. So I had things. What is it? What was
$185.
Hey, not bad, huh? I was 2.47.
Yeah. $185. So think about this way. Buying a kid a $185 toy today, dang, that's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you got.
That sounds about right,
Yeah.
though. If it's like tech,
I didn't have
toy.
I didn't have a Game Boy.
Yeah, I was maybe more. I mean, Xbox and those games, those consoles are $400 or $500.
Well,
ridiculous.
but they're not sold
Like
for
the
kids
Nintendo
though.
Switch and all
Yeah,
that. It's like a couple $100.
Yeah, kids aren't going. Xbox is for like kids our age. You know what I'm saying? Like these are 30, 40-year-old men that are buying
That was
stuff.
game changer though. The Game Boy, and then you could bring it with you, and everybody's all jealous. It had that like yellowish, black screen, and then they finally got it with color and everything. Yeah, I loved it.
I never got one because I was not too into playing video games. Right when that got popular,
you weren't very cool.
No,
We've covered this already.
I was learning stuff.
No,
Well, you guys were
Banking
in the corner.
knowledge.
You guys were in the corner.
tapping in.
We were playing sports, bro. Speaking of sports, boom. The Sharks are coming back tomorrow. They came back from.
Did they beat the Wisconsin Wizards?
Stop it.
Stupid, dude. Stop
Crazy.
it. Stop
Wizard.
it, dude. They were
It's
down.
the Warlock, Sal.
Listen, listen, Linda. They were down 3-1. Okay, 3 games to 1. One more and they lose, right? And I went to that. I went to that game. They win to tie it up 3-2. They go back to Vegas. They win again last night. So it's now tied 3-3, Game 7. The only thing better than a Game 1 is a Game 7. Game 7 back in
that's
San
intense.
Jose.
Is this playoffs? Are we talking about?
It is playoffs, but it's not the Stanley Cup yet. So
Okay.
it's the road.
How many more levels?
This will get if they win here, then they go on to semifinals, and then the.
Now, don't the Sharks always get this far and then crap out? Is that something about like? Don't they always kind of do well?
Yeah,
and they shit.
They're notorious for.
Yeah, we've been in the
Not
hunt.
making the
We've
Stanley
been in the
Cup.
hunt for like the last decade, man. We've always been in the mix for sure.
What would happen because?
We got to break the cycle.
Yeah, tell me what would happen in San Jose if they won the Stanley Cup?
Oh, it'd explode.
Would it?
Yeah.
People
There'd
go
be a
nuts?
parade, all kinds of shit.
You think people go crazy?
Oh,
here?
the economically, it's amazing when that happens.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about like in the streets with people just fucking.
Oh, there'll be a lot of people, wrapping it all of a sudden. Yeah,
it'll be a
totally.
big party downtown. It'll be a huge party. Yeah, absolutely. Downtown and they'll do a parade, everything. So it'll be crazy. So that there's the week preceding the Stanley Cup, if we were to win, there would be a big old Stanley Cup viewing. There would be a big old parade. There'll be a ton of partying downtown. So yeah, no, it would be amazing. I mean, I forget what the number. I know Super Bowls are crazy. Maybe Doug can look that up. Like how much a Stanley Cup brings to a city. But the amount of revenue that it's such a big, like, I always think it's funny too. Like if you're somebody who's not into sports, like you should at least care about that. Because what it does for us as a city economically is huge.
What I would like to see is the total cost on the taxpayer of building things like stadiums, and then see how much they do actually bring in and what the actual profit is. Because often I've seen studies on this, and oftentimes
versus a library.
these stadiums, they're just big. It's like a way for a city to make people happy. Like, we're going to build a big stadium, but when they look at the actual cost, a lot of times they don't make any money when you actually average it out. Now, that being said, I know Sharks games tend to fill the seats, don't they?
Yeah.
So you think they're going to do well?
This is they're okay. So
they're playing the Golden Knights.
Yeah, the Knights lost last year in the Stanley Cup.
They're a brand new team
to
too,
the Capitals.
Which is crazy. They're good.
Yeah,
right
no,
off the bat.
they whooped our ass last year. So this is a big win for it. It will be a big win if we get beyond them. And two number 1 seeds have already been knocked out. So it's this of all the years I've been most excited about this team, even though it's actually the least games I've gone to just because I'm so much into the Warriors. It's so hard for me. Like I tell my best friend.
Yeah, it's like these happen right at the same time, like the playoff schedule.
Yeah,
somehow.
basketball and hockey go at the
Every
same time, and I'm a diehard Sharks and Warriors fan. And
What do you like better? You have to pick.
If I had to pick basketball. And that's just because I played, and so I have a little bit more attachment. But I'm not gonna, dude. I tell you what,
hockey games being there, that's the best experience I think sports wise I've been to.
It'd be cool if they do win. I'd like to see the celebration.
This quaz brought to you by Organifi. For those days you fall short on getting your organic veggies or whole food nutrition, Organifi fills the gap with laboratory-tested certified organic superfoods to help give your health and performance the added edge. Try Organifi totally risk-free for 60 days by going to Organifi.com. That's ORGANIFI.com. And use the coupon code MINDPUMP for 20% off at checkout. Our first question is from CMOS23. How do you rebound after a day of eating like crap?
I'm interested to hear if we have different opinions on this.
How'd you guys? So Easter, did you guys end up eating a lot of stuff that you don't normally eat, like candy?
I had some cheesecake and then some candy, and I was like, oh, yeah, that one hit me like a bomb. Yeah, no, it was like the richness of the food and all that. Like it, you know right away afterwards, like your stomach kind of goes into, the danger zone a little bit.
So I'm going to use an analogy that might help illustrate this a little bit better. What I'm going to try and explain here. So you're in your car, and you're driving, and it's raining, and you turn a little bit, and the car starts to slide a bit. One of the worst things you could do is overcorrect in the opposite direction.
I'm glad where you're going with this.
You'll cast an accident. Your car will spin. It's one of the worst things you could possibly do is overreact and overcorrect. And so after a day of eating crap or whatever, or overindulging or eating too much food or too much candy, like I did, over the Easter holiday, one of the worst things you can do is go in the opposite direction. It actually encourages the binging and restricting behaviors that we see that are so common with people in our space, especially people that compete on stage, physique competitors or bikini competitors. This is what they get stuck in. They get stuck in the hardcore restricting, super calculated, everything's fitting a particular macro profile to going way off onto the other side. And that, just like with your car, when you turn one way and overcorrect the other way, you start to create a chain reaction of overcorrecting. And you can go on YouTube right now and watch videos of these cars doing this, where they could have fixed the situation had they approached it a little bit more gently and kind of brought it back to normal rather than trying to overcorrect.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And I do think that, that's the tendency is to want to sort of punish yourself and really get back in the gym and really hammer it out in order to sort of make up for any sort of damage you think may, and for me, it's just like acknowledging the fact that it's probably not ideal or optimal, like how I was eating that day, but like not getting super crazy and corrective and like going like full steam, like this is something that, okay, yeah, let's kind of like get back to a good momentum and train where it's in healthier patterns.
Well, you have to take into consideration that on an off day, and we'll use Easter as an example because a lot of people are probably eating candy and or drinking alcohol. And so you have this day of being sedentary, or mostly probably sedentary for the average American, and then you overconsume on foods that are almost worthless, right, calorie-wise, as far as macronutrient-wise, right, cookies and sugar bomb candy and shit like that. Is you're not getting a lot of benefits from that nutritionally. So you deprive yourself nutritionally, you overconsume on garbage that your body doesn't need, and then the tendency that clients used to want to do the next day is starve the body more of nutrients by not feeding it and hammering themselves in the gym and punishing themselves for doing that. And it just, the signal that you're sending to your body right there is just not ideal. So I would always coach to do like, what's happened. Like,
go back to normal.
Yeah, go back to normal. Get back to your eating consistently, feed the body what it needs. And even though you overfed yesterday, doesn't mean that I want you to grossly restrict this day coming up. In fact, more than likely, you didn't get your nutrient requirements that I want you to get. So today I want you to eat well, and train normal. So just get right back on the horse and get back and stay your course, not overcorrect. So I didn't know you were going to go that direction. I'm glad you did, because that's exactly what I see. Is I see clients that want to overcorrect because they did this bad. The way they think about it is like, okay, I'll just not eat today and I'll do a ton of cardio in hopes that my body then will burn off whatever all the damage I did yesterday. And it's just, the body doesn't work that way.
No, it's a good discussion, because I guarantee you, okay, look, if we go on paper, if I go on paper and let's say your caloric maintenance is 2,000 calories a day, okay? And you eat 4,000 calories today. Technically, you could not eat tomorrow and then balance out the calories. You could, right? Technically, because instead of eating 2,000 calories today and 2,000 calories tomorrow, you ate 4,000 calories today, so tomorrow I eat no food, and now I'm back to 0. But see, here's the difference. We've all worked with real people, and we've all worked with lots of real people and have coached everyday people, hundreds of them, over years and years and years. And so our advice is not coming from what works on paper. Our advice is coming from what works behaviorally. Because I guarantee you, someone like Lane Norton would say, oh, yeah, you can make up for it by balancing out the macros and calories, and it would all make sense. And then at the end, you'd be
it's
back
an
to
easy mathematical equation.
But it doesn't work like that behaviorally. What ends up happening is you overconsume, you overcorrect the following day, and then you get into this pattern of binging and restricting, which turns into just bad eating habits and a bad relationship to food. A better relationship to food is, I enjoyed yesterday, it was a holiday, cool, go back to normal.
Right.
You are going to be above your normal caloric intake, but in the long run, you'll be much better off, and you won't be so stressed out about food all the time like you would when you're doing this back and forth. Because I'll tell you, I work with people who do this, and they're stressed out all the time. Mm-hmm. It's a stressful way of eating. And all it does, by the way, one of the reasons why people overeat in the first place is what? Stress.
Yeah.
So when you're doing this restricting and binging, you are feeding a part of your a behavior that encourages more over-consuming. And at the end, it turns into what they would consider yo-yo dieting, where I gain 15 pounds and I lose 15 pounds.
So how would you guys said if we were heading into Easter, knowing that we're going to do some damage, we're going to eat some cookies, we're going to have some candy, we'll probably have some drinks. Mm-hmm. We know we're not going to eat ideally. What would you guys do nutritionally and exercise-wise the day or two before and the day after? What would that look like in an ideal world? I know what it looked like for me. I'm curious if you guys are similar.
Well, for me, it was mainly just to get in a good, solid, foundational session in, leading up into Easter. So that way I got a good intense session where my muscles all got expressed and I felt, I burned and expended a decent amount of calories, but really it was just about doing that ahead of time going into the food. I didn't want to put too much pressure on the actual food itself, although for me, I'm not I don't enjoy eating a lot of dessert, but I will enjoy having little bits of it. And then the next day is just about stay moving, stay active, just try not to sit and lounge quite as much. And that's really my only approach.
Yeah, for me it depends on what my goal is for the day or whatever. If I go into it and I think I'm just going to enjoy myself, have fun, and here's the thing about holidays that I enjoy so much.
Let's know that you're going to eat some calories in there. Is not you're going to overconsume.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So if I go into a holiday like Easter, there's a few dishes that family members make that I don't normally get access to. So my grandmother may make pasta al forno, which is the Sicilian dish that we get, on Easter and Christmas and other big holidays. Otherwise, we don't get it that often. So I know I'm going to eat this. So I go in and I tell myself, that's cool, I'm going to eat this thing. There may be other foods that aren't that special to me, and I'll avoid them because it's not that big of a deal. Because to me, it's not about, again, if I go into it with this idea that I'm just going to eat until I can't breathe, it's not really enjoyable. I used to do that. I used to go in and have this attitude where I would restrict and then go in and just go crazy.
Right.
Then I wouldn't feel good. And I started realizing, I'm not really enjoying the holiday. And part of enjoying the holiday is enjoying the food. And there are certain foods that I'm going to get on that holiday that I don't normally get, and that's when I'll eat them. Now another strategy that I used to tell clients is I'd say, look, meet your nutritional requirements first by filling up your plate with vegetables, your proteins, and your fats. After you eat that, then you can go. If these are for people who do really struggle with just going crazy on the sugar and over.
So this is how I eat. How I eat or how I prepare for a day like Sunday where I know I'm going to overconsume or I'm going to eat things that are not ideal for my body is leading up to that day. So that the day or 2 days before, I'm either one, really low calorie for 2 days in a row, or I'm fasted going into it. I want a good lift, like Justin said. I'm going to do a really good, hard foundational workout either the morning of or the day before, so that my body is, looking to build, and so a lot of the calories that I go in to consume hopefully gets partitioned over into recovery and helping me build. And then my first meal that I eat, that I break the fast with, I want it to be balanced and good. So I'm looking for, and I'm going to load it up with veggies. I think we had like eggs and tri-tip and meat like that. So it was really easy to have, still eat good choices first. So I load my plate up with the things that my body needs. And then after that, I go, oh, okay, if I want to have 2 cookies, and I think I had 2 chocolate chip cookies. I think I had 3 pieces of a candy. I can't remember what else I had that was
I think it was just the dessert, really. I mean, because everything else we had was like mashed potatoes and asparagus and peas and like lots of like good options, ham, and that was it, and so it's I don't know. I think there's a lot. Everybody varies in terms of like their family and what they put out there and present out there, but I feel like for the most part, people have this misconception that this holiday meal is so unhealthy when you can navigate through that pretty easily.
You can, but I think the important point is this: like if we did a short-term study, let's say we did a study that was over the course of 14 days or 30 days, and one group would go into a holiday, overeat like most people do, and then the next day correct it with a super low-calorie diet. Right. In the short-term study, that group would do better than the recommendation we gave, which was to go back normal. Because that group would, again, on paper, they would make up the calories. But the group that would just go back to normal, if we were to look long-term, they would do much better because at the end of the day, if you want to eat in a way that's going to promote a healthy body weight, body fat percentage, and just overall health, you don't want to press the calories. You want to press the behaviors. Yeah. So stop looking so much at the calories. That's important. You got to look at that. It definitely is a part of the formula. But press the behaviors. And what is a dysfunctional behavior? Binging and restricting.
I was going to say, if you don't do that, you don't feed into that binging behavior that you might have a propensity towards, with other things.
I have never seen anybody binge as terribly as post-show competitors in my life. These are people who so strict leading up to a show, post-show. I've seen I know female competitors, 115-pound girls, consume 6,000 calories in a matter of hours.
Dang.
I know guys that would gain 30 pounds in a few weeks post-show. I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah.
This is the crazy part. Yeah. And that's an extreme version of what I'm talking about. Now, most of these people, average people who go and eat a lot on a holiday aren't competitors. They're not dieting for 16 weeks before a show. But again, if you press the behaviors, because again, if I take 2 people and this person over here, I'm like, count your calories, balance them all out, make sure you eat the right amount of calories. This person over here, let's make sure you have really good relationship to food and good behaviors around food. Guess which one's going to succeed long term?
Right.
The one with the right behavior. So I think that's the important part of this question.
Agreed.
Next question is from M. Dolman Fitness. If your life makes it incredibly difficult to get adequate sleep for recovery, do you recommend lowering training intensity to balance that out?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's I was having this was a thought that I was having about a week ago that I was really putting together, and I started writing down some notes on paper. And I was thinking about stress in the human body. And I tried to think in the context of how the human body evolved, because if you look at, modern humans, modern life has been a very, very short period of time. It's been a very, very short period of time where we lived in this kind of sedentary electronic lights all around us, temperature controlled, lots of food available type of environment. And so our bodies are primitive, but we live in this modern world. So in that context, if you think of stress, when we are stressed out, our body interprets it in the primitive sense. And what I mean by that is, what stressed us out 1,000 years ago? Like, why would humans be stressed out 1,000 years ago? Well, there was 2 reasons mostly. One,
famine.
One was acute, like, oh shit, there's a bear, or oh fuck, I just got attacked. Like super high level acute stress, which is here now, gone tomorrow. I got away, I'm survived, stress is gone. And then the other was kind of that low to moderate level of constant stress. Now, what would cause that kind of stress back then? Probably couldn't find shelter and couldn't find food, right? So I'm just kind of like stressed out constantly. It's not acute, but it's kind of this constant stress. So how does the body use that kind of stress to adapt to survive in that type of an environment.
It stores fat.
It's going to encourage fat storage, and it's going to discourage calorie burning in the sense that it's not going to make you want to build more muscle. It's not going to want to give you a faster metabolism. It's going to want to kind of turn you into a storage machine and make you hyper vigilant for things so you can hear sounds and figure out what's going on. And so that environment right there is a terrible environment to try to burn body fat and build muscle. It doesn't want to. All your hormones are geared around not doing that. All your the behaviors that your body's pushing is geared towards, if you find food, eat the fuck out of it, and don't do certain things that are going to speed up your metabolism. So if you're in a low sleep environment, low sleep is that kind of low, moderate level of stress, and you're going to try and work out to force your body to build muscle, burn body fat,
which is another stress.
Yeah, you're in your uphill battle, big time.
Yeah.
Your best bet in this like not getting enough sleep situation is first try to get more sleep, and if that's impossible, and you want to exercise, you want to be active, it needs to be kind of recuperative, regenerative type stuff.
Yeah.
Not the intense, like, crazy workåts. That's the absolute worst thing you could possibly do.
Yeah, that's not going to do a whole lot for you. Yeah, and that's a tough mindset, too, because you feel like, you can't catch up on sleep, so you're already, like, sleep deprived. You feel like, and you still want to make gains and be healthy, and it just doesn't feel like you're going to make any progress, like doing like a lighter, recuperative type workout. But in fact, your body will actually have that ability then to, get that recovery and then, be able to then have progress, which is, it seems counterproductive, but that's the way to go.
Yeah. The hardest part about this that people need to understand is that if you're somebody who doesn't get great sleep, you have to treat it just like anything else in your life that you're trying to improve upon, and you have to put some energy and focus around it.
Yes.
Like, sleep isn't just one of those things then, especially if you're somebody who identifies with a question like this, it's not like, oh, I just lay in bed and hopefully it'll get better. It's
we totally take it for granted, don't we?
We do. We take it for granted that the process leading up and up to the sleep portion of your night. And and I'm definitely guilty of this. I'm somebody who can definitely his mind wander at night. I love to binge watch a show. If I'm into the show, I'll keep watching a second. It's 10 o'clock and I know I should be getting ready for bed. Fuck it, I'm into this show. Watch another one, and then it's 11, it's midnight. And then when I go to bed and I'm like just going to expect myself to shut down and then be ready to prop out of bed at 6 a.m., like, no, it doesn't work that way. But when I say, hey, you know what, this week, I'm going to set a goal for myself like I've done the last previous weeks. Like I'm getting up really early. I want to get up and I want to feel good when I get up. I don't want to be groggy when I get up. So that means I need to get to bed at a decent hour. Okay, well, I also know that I'm normally doing something right around 8 or 9 o'clock. So I need to get to my room, get the lights turned off, kind of get my mind set and ready for that, whether that be using tools like Brain FM, which is why I love things like that, or if it means meditating or doing your gratitude journal or whatever it may be, something to kind of settle the mind down, get yourself ready for that, or rocking your Felix Grays, whatever. But getting yourself prepped for the evening like that, it makes a world of a difference when I do it. And when I don't do it, I don't get great sleep.
Well, think about it again in the context of the fact that we have not lived this modern life for very long in terms of how long humans have been on Earth or modern humans have been on Earth. Your body and your brain had a lot of cues, natural cues, that told you it was time to go to sleep. First of all, humans are extremely vulnerable, weak creatures at night. We were not nocturnal. We didn't go out, and we can't see very good. Most animals, the predators, can see very good at night. Humans were not out at night hanging out. We were like, let's get into some shelter and go to sleep. And what were the cues that our bodies got? The sun went down. Yeah. That was number one. Number one, the sun goes down, your body is not exposed to light. You're not getting light through your eyes. You're not getting light UV rays or whatever. Your brain automatically starts to know, oh shit, time to get ready for that rest and repair part of the day, which is sleep. Here's the other one that's a big one. Food, eating. Did you guys? Most people don't know this, but your organs also are a kind of a signaling system to the body that tells you it's time to go to sleep. Now, were humans cooking in the fire in the middle of the night when there's fucking lions everywhere? No, we weren't eating in the middle of the night. We ate during the day. At night, when the shit went down, everything went. We weren't eating anymore. So your body if you're eating late at night when it's dark, your body thinks it's time to be awake.
I was actually going to bring that up as one of the main things that has helped me get in better sleep is to shut down my eating earlier. I was eating around like 8 o'clock, or like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then once I brought it down to consistently either 5:30 or 6, so much better sleep.
Absolutely.
This is one of those things that it's unfortunate that, the fitness industry does this shit, right? Because that used to be an old like folktale, right? Of eat before if you want, right? And so we used to shit on, and then science comes out to prove otherwise, and we're like, it doesn't fucking matter if you eat
early bird special.
Doesn't matter if you eat at midnight. Doesn't matter if you eat at 6.
Calories matter.
Calories is all that matters. But again, this goes back to why we always talk about behavior and the psychological piece to being healthy and fit. And there was some value to teaching people, hey,
they were just teaching it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. They were trying to explain it wrong, like there was some science to support, what's going on from like the law of the thermodynamics spot. That doesn't matter in this, but behaviorally, it does matter.
It does, and if it'll help with your sleep. One thing that Jessica did in our house, which I thought was really, really smart, is she bought these Himalayan salt lamps. So have you guys seen Himalayan salt lamps?
Salt lamps?
Yeah. So it's like the Himalayan salt rock. It's like the crystal rock.
Yeah, I have seen that.
And there's a bulb in it. And when you turn it on, it's like this kind of red amber.
So it just kind of glows almost like that's how like a fire, like you look at those. Like,
bingo, because the blue light and green light both signal the brain to be awake. So blue light blocking glasses like the Felix rays takes care of a lot of it, but green light will also do that. Mm-hmm. Red light is the light that has the least effect on the brain. Now, why? Well, remember we were at Ben Greenfield's house? He had all the red bulbs in his house. Now, why? Well, it's because, again, we evolved with fire. So if we did have light at night, it was fire, and that we could still fall asleep. So she bought these Himalayan salt lamp night lights, and she put them all throughout the house. And they're cheap. You can buy them on Amazon, real cheap. Put them throughout the house. When the sun goes down, we turn off the lights and we just use the salt lamp, those little lights, and it's a nice low red glow. Mm-hmm. And me and the kids and her hang out, and we do what we're gonna do. If we watch TV or if we're on electronics, we do put on the blue light blocking glasses. Otherwise, we keep electronics off. The biggest thing that I notice about this, because kids are like, man, you can if you have a parent and you want to test anything out, you do it on your kid, because you'll see right away. My daughter always had a tough time falling asleep. Ever since we started doing that, right to bed. My son, right to bed. Yeah. It's crazy.
I'm going to have to try that, because my oldest has been waking up quite a bit. Like, we'll come upstairs and be like, his mind just keeps running and running and running and having thoughts, and it's just like, we should try something new for sure.
Next is Fit Fran Flex. What is the question you guys get asked the most that has become annoying because you answer it all the time?
She was at the event over the weekend.
Oh,
yeah.
Holla.
Yeah, good seeing. God, what is a question that we get annoyed? You know what annoys me sometimes? And it's only annoying because I just don't have the time to help people like this. But, we pride ourselves in trying to answer DMs and help people. But it's gotten to the point where it's just too many people, right? It's lots of people. I tell you what, if you send me a screenshot of your last 6, macro, days, and here's what I'm eating, and here's my workout, and what do you think about my blood labs? And I have like 85 different messages. I can't answer you. That's when I get a little bit like, that's way too much. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because it's so specific.
It's just so much stuff.
And it would take a lot of questions back and forth. I think that's what people don't understand. So I guess I feel you on that, because there's moments where I get annoyed by it, and then I'm like, they just
you need personal coaching.
They don't know better. They don't know better, and they're asking like that. But I'm glad you bring it up, because I think it's important people know that. It's like, dude, it's so
too hard.
It's hard already. Well, it's hard because what it would require to give a really good answer that you would want to give, I would have to prod you and ask you 10 more questions. Like,
and you're basically coaching them
right
through DM, which is...
Yeah, it would take a lot of interaction that then takes away from being able to ask everybody else. So those are that.
Well, it's the same with pain questions for me, like with joints and like the way that they're moving, what they notice, what this and that, and like just this is all through just like typed text. Like, I need to see all this stuff. I can't be that specific.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, this is a good time to actually plug this part that we have. And what I've done now with people that ask questions, and I'm like, dude, we've talked about this in grave detail. We have a Mind Pump 30 days free of coaching. And in those 30 days, we've looked at what we think are some of the most valuable pieces of information that we've taught on this podcast, and we've condensed it over a 30-day email drip campaign where there's a topic every single day that we cover. And it's everything from nutritional advice to gut health to exercise to breaking down macro and micronutrients. And there's little short videos that Sal did that are 3 to 5 minutes long where he kind of gives you like an overview of what you're learning that day. There's links to studies to support the arguments that we make on all the points that we make. So I tend to tell people that have these questions that, yeah, we've already answered a lot of this stuff is to go through that process and read that. I think the things that probably I don't really get annoyed too much.
That's too strong, right?
Yeah, it's because I don't think anybody does. We do still get a lot of shit on supplements. I mean, everybody keeps asking, and we always get this, what about this? And do you think we should take that? And should we cycle off this? And what about this SARM? And what about? And I feel like we've made such a hard stance on it since the beginning that's not going to change. Like I'll forever tell you this. There's for sure been hundreds. I'm sure I'm in the 1,000, if not thousands, with the combined of all three of us helped people out. Not a single fucking one of them. Not one person have I ever helped out. And afterwards I went like, man, thank God I got him on all them supplements. Those supplements really
was a game changer.
Was a game changer and helped that person.
Yeah.
Fucking zero. Not one.
Zero.
All of it was changing behavior, changing relationship with exercise, changing relationship with nutrition, getting them to understand proper macronutrients, getting them to eat correctly for their body. That is everything in this rate. And I mean, that's to the most extreme. Like somebody who wants to look fucking like a bodybuilder or a bikini competitor, I've done that without ever having to speak to supplementation. Now, that being said, doesn't mean that I don't think there's value in somebody who's lacking in a micronutrient and supplementing for that, or advantages to creatine. I understand all the studies. I've read all the shit, but we get a lot of questions still around that. And it's like, dude, most people, you shouldn't be asking questions on that. You should be asking other questions to have, because you could maximize probably all of your goals before you ever even mess or fuck around with supplements.
Yeah, I don't necessarily get. And here's the thing about what we do: we have to constantly reiterate what we've talked about before. Like, people just need you to go over it over and over and over again. It's just like having clients. Like, you just have to repeat yourself constantly until finally, something clicks. For a lot of times for people, so it's not that we will be revisiting the same types of questions constantly, like reworded, and that's fine. I think it's more like the what kind of annoys me on some level is like, the very, very specific, like splitting hairs to splitting hairs type questions where I just don't feel like the rest of the audience is going to really benefit from it.
Yeah. I'll tell you what annoys me. And it's not the person asking me the question that annoys me. It's that the reason why they have this question to begin with is there's a lot of people in our space who make this become a question that they should ask.
Right.
And it's when I get the questions on gray market peptides and SARMs and shit like that. And then I get annoyed. Not because the people are asking me, but because they have this question in the first place, because there's people out there who are pumping and promoting.
Right. Like, that's the new game changer.
These fucking gray market products that we have less information. And I don't know if they're safe or not safe. There's so little information on peptides and SARMs. Like, you're probably, your better bet is to take an anabolic steroid. And I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just saying we know a lot about those things at least. But I get all these kids, these dudes who are like, yeah, what do you think about this SARM? And it's like some long name. And what do you think about this peptide? It's supposed to, and I'm like, dude, first of all, you don't know where you're getting it from. You're getting it from some lab that they're selling it as a research chemical. That's how they're able to get away with what they're selling. There is no research behind it except for the biohacker, dude or girl who's talking about it on their, social media or podcast and talking about, and they have no idea. They're just talking out their ass. They're just talking. They're parroting what they heard from some other guy who claims to be an expert. We actually had somebody who tried to get on our show who's like, I'm an expert on all these substances. And I said, oh, cool. And I got on the phone and I'm like, what's your background? Oh, well, I had all these, physical problems, and then I cured myself by doing research online. and you call yourself an expert.
Yeah.
If you go online right now and look up
Keyboard expert.
you go online right now and you look up peptides and SARMs, 99% of the articles that are giving you the information on them are places that are trying to sell them.
Yeah.
And when you look them up, what are the side effects? Oh, side effects are very mild and include like you might get a little bit more oily skin, or they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
You might start seeing orange dots.
Yeah, we don't like, and I don't know. They,
Yeah, right.
they might be safe. We just don't know. So when I get that question, I get annoyed because the people asking it oftentimes are these
Well, I would
dudes and girls in their teens.
I lump that into my supplements. Like it all falls in the same category for me, because then aside from all of that, it's just on the priority of the totem pole of priorities. It's just it's at the fucking very bottom. You know, it's not a top priority that you want to be learning right now or figuring out. Like, figure all the other shit out.
Yep.
It's not a SARM, and it's not a steroid, and it's not a supplement that's keeping you from reaching your goal.
That's right.
You know, that's the real.
That's not the missing link. That's not the key.
Next question is from Spencer Boyd Fitness. What are the most important pieces of advice you'd give to someone who is about to open up their own gym?
Yeah, it's be interesting because we've said like over and over how difficult that is, and like what a sort of a ceiling that you're creating by going that direction. But I mean, there's people that really, that's their goal. Like, they really want to have a successful gym that they created from scratch. And you know, it's a creative drive for a lot of trainers who, you know, love the gym and love being in the gym. But so there's definitely some things to consider, you know, right away in terms of like, you know, if I'm going to open a gym.
I would. First of all, I probably wouldn't do this. I do think it's really hard. I think it's really hard to make a lot of money doing this. Do I think it's possible? Yeah, I think it's possible. The things that I would do to make good money in this, I would definitely have classes that were geared around mobility. And I talked about this just recently. I would use the MAPS Prime Pro and build something similar to what I've built. These what used to be my boot camp type of classes have now turned into these like mobility classes that I think are really cool and have done wonders for people. And I also think that the climate right now in class settings is all geared around like intensity-driven classes, like the Orange Theories, the F45s, the CrossFits. Like, so instead of trying to compete with them, which is what I see happening with a lot of these small gyms, they open up and then they too try and create a CrossFit type class or a Orange Theory type class. I would do something to complement all that stuff, which is the mobility side of it. I think that there is a growing need for these types of classes. I gave this advice to the Red Dot Fitness team, and they've been implementing it, and it's been crushing. So if I was opening up my own gym, I would have classes that are targeted at countering the problems that you get from taking these high-intensity classes and serve those people. And I think it would do really well, on top of having obviously your trainers that you probably either lease space or work underneath you. And then I would also integrate a virtual side of this. Like, I think that I could see us opening MAPS gyms in the future, but because we built this part of the business first to really support the brick and mortar piece. So if I was doing the brick and mortar first, I still wouldn't just neglect that I believe that so much of fitness is going online. So I think you would be silly to just like not give a fuck about that because you're building a brick and mortar. I think it's important that you have a presence on YouTube, you have a presence on Instagram and social media platforms. You're using those to complement and build a community. So the most successful gyms, whether they're small or big or private or publicly owned, the most successful gyms I've ever been in and been a part of are the ones that do an incredible job building a very strong community. Yeah. And I would utilize all the social platforms to help assist building that strong community within your facility.
Yeah, I think too, like, I mean, absolutely, like building the community and building the audience ahead of time is crucial these days. And I completely agree with that. I think, having a solid business model and like really understanding how you're going to create these systems before you even jump into anything like that is at the utmost crucial thing to consider in terms of like having EFT, all these different things of ways to capture payments, ways to incentivize like your staff. Like what kind of staff are you going to have? Are you going to have a lot of trainers? Are you going to have a lot of salespeople? Are you going to include, what is all that going to look like? Your ultimate vision of it, and then sort of like it, deconstructing that down to like the MVP model of that for the first location, or is this going to be something that's just going to stand as one gym? I think that like your entire vision of this thing has to be really written out.
Yeah, there's a huge misconception with individual gym owners or people who want to start a gym. Now, the chain owners understand what I'm about to say, but the guys and girls who are like, oh my God, it's my dream to open a gym, they make a big mistake typically. And the mistake is that they think the awesomeness of their gym and equipment is what's going to make their gym successful. So they think, I'm going to have the best fucking equipment, we're going to have the best looking gym, and that's what's going to bring all the members in. That's false. 2 things will make your gym successful. 2. 1 is your marketing and sales, and 2 is your culture of the gym. Those 2 things are the most important things. CrossFit proved this with the culture. These gyms were dungeons. They were a couple squat racks and chalk and barbells, and some of them became very successful early on, and that was because of the culture. Marketing and sales is another big one. If you don't know how to market and sell, people, you ain't going to sell shit. People will walk in your gym and walk right out. I don't care how awesome your gym looks, because you are not selling anything but a dream, and you need someone to paint that picture, so you need good salespeople and good marketing. But those 2 things, look, I've run so many shitholes, and I've broken records out of those shitholes because I had great sales and marketing, and I had a phenomenal culture in the gym. And really, I could do it with crappy equipment all day long. And then I've been in gyms that were just gorgeous facilities that didn't succeed because they didn't have those 2 things. They had a terrible culture, and they didn't have that marketing and sales background, that priority. So that's the big thing I say. If you're going to open a gym, you need to know your sales and marketing. You got to be a closer. You got to have your marketing together. How are we going to get people? How are we going to drive leads in here? And then how are we going to sell them? And then this other half of it, which is equally as important, is how are we going to create a culture in our gym that makes people want to stay here? If you do those 2 things, your odds of success are much higher.
Well, and I also think, too, a lot of people go into it with their intention of what they like the most about training. And so their gym is sort of a reflection of that, when in fact it's humbling a lot of times to find that there's not a huge community out there that's driven towards those same things, right? I don't want this like crazy dungeon-esque powerlifting focused gym that's like super specific. Like it's not very inviting for your average person. Now I need to pay the bills, and I want to have all these people come in and get memberships and all that. That's a hard sell.
I'm going to open the first kettlebell only gym. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like find out there's like 3 people in the city.
Do your research. Yeah. Like there's a reason why certain, gyms take off and certain ones, it's more of a struggle. So.
That's it. Look, if you go to mindpumpfree.com, you can download any of our guides for free. We've got quite a few up there, and they're all absolutely free. You can also find us all on Instagram. That's our social media platform of choice to contact and talk with our fans. You can find Justin on Instagram at mindpumpjustin. You can find me at mindpumpsal, and you can find Adam at mindpumpadam.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.